Hello there, and welcome to Fixing the Sequel Trilogy, usually a Writer's Room podcast, but today a reaction and review podcast for episode 6 of Ahsoka. Mello, what'd you think?
Bryce, far, far away.
Oh, it's a good title.
It's a
really
title.
great opening,
Yeah.
really great title. I enjoyed this episode a lot, but it's very much the build-up episode before the big finale.
Yeah.
Which is great, and it was a really good build-up episode. It was just a slow burn.
Yeah.
And we really want to get to the next part. I think it's like, to the show's credit, this was a very slow episode, and we want more desperately. To its credit, I think it's a good thing, even though I'm left feeling a little bit like I want more today.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Yeah, certainly slow. There's moments where I'm like, are you gonna get there?
Come on.
Are you gonna get there? Because it's like, it's interesting because it's setting me up for things that it's like I know it's gonna happen. So in a way, it's a little bit predictable at times.
Yeah, it can be.
I'm watching it, sitting there thinking, okay, I know. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna see Ezra. Stuff like that.
We knew we were going to see Ezra. We knew we were going to see Thrawn. Spoiler alert. We saw Thrawn today.
Yeah,
for the first time on camera.
Early too.
Really early. Earlier than I thought we would. And I was very, very happy with the way they did it.
Yeah.
We'll go through beat by beat in a second, but I think they revealed Ezra. I thought that was really well done. They revealed Thrawn. It was really well done.
Yep.
Revealed the Night Sisters. They revealed what they're doing with this new galaxy.
Yeah.
And it isn't much.
No.
They were like, hey, one planet. Purgle graveyard. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I can live with
the
that.
The goal of this galaxy is to get out of it. So it must be like just either underdeveloped and chaotic, or it's like it's
I think it
ancient
may be just
and
like
destroyed.
an ancient dead galaxy.
Yeah, it must be.
Where there's not a whole lot of civilization around.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're setting things up to be like, the galaxy we're aware of, like had a bunch
started
of stuff.
here.
Yeah, came across.
Yeah, so Night Sisters and Jedi even potentially started here and migrated to the new galaxy.
Yeah.
For some reason. And we get some really interesting teasers about what that reason could be later on in the episode.
There is something else going on there.
I'm like hesitant.
Yeah.
Like, could it be something really cool that they're introducing that's new, or is it just going to be a throwaway thing that we don't really come back to?
Is it going to be a Yu Zhang Vong equivalent?
Is it going to be a Yu Zhang Vong equivalent? Anyway, let's get into the beat by beat breakdown of the episode. Where do we start out? We start out with Ahsoka, I think, on the ship with
Huyang. Yeah, they're inside the Purgle. Really colorful.
Dude, so the hyperspace they use for the Purgle is completely different to the normal hyperspace we're used to.
Because it's hyperspace.
Hyperspace.
Yeah.
Super space, you might even say.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It looks really fantastic. The visuals I thought were really CGI looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Looks really great. And you go inside the Purgle and Ahsoka and Huyang are just chatting, just chilling.
Yep.
Some of my favorite moments in any kind of fantasy or sci-fi fiction is moments like this, where you have two characters just sitting and chilling, fleshing out their character and their relationship to each other and others and the world itself.
Yeah, so it's there that Ahsoka reveals to Huyang that he didn't tell Hera that Sabine went willingly with Balin.
Yeah,
and
she
with
left that part out very conveniently,
Yeah, and then there's going to be like some sort of like exchange of like they're going to tell each other stories, and I'm kind of like, can I hear?
We were sitting there watching it together and you're like, yes, tell me the story. And I was right there with you. I was like, absolutely.
Yeah. So Huyang goes to tell an ancient story, and he goes, part one. A long time ago in a galaxy far,
before
far...
that, she says, no, I don't want to hear the story.
Yeah,
and they chat back and forth about, like, Sabine and Ahsoka's relationship to Sabine and Huyang continuing to fill this, like, mentor role.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely, in a way, like, trying to coach Ahsoka in the right direction. Obviously, biased towards the Jedi path.
Yeah, but, like, he can't be a master.
No.
All he can do is be like...
He's an advisor. He's a really great advisor.
Yeah, it's great. Because it's like, I've got, hundreds, thousands of years of Jedi knowledge, and I like the Jedi, and you should keep going with that.
But he also likes Sabine and Ahsoka. Yeah. And he has a lot of respect, I think, for them beneath the really nasty exterior. The sass, But yeah, he has these really sweet moments where he's trying to talk to Ahsoka and just get her to level with Sabine and just like really think about the fact that it was fated to happen. There was no other way for Sabine to go, really. And I completely agree. I think Sabine was always going to choose Ezra, no matter what, just as that's the kind of person she is.
Yeah, for sure.
Regardless of the risks and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think also, like, I think that is something quite consistent from Rebels as well. I think that Rebels Sabine also would have
done the same thing.
Gone for Ezra.
I know that's a bit of a contentious thing. That's where we stand on it. So,
think so.
Feel free to disagree.
We can debate that.
Yeah.
But yes, so he does it.
And then he tells a story and we cut to black. We get far, far away.
Yeah.
God damn, dude.
Yeah.
God damn. They know how to make a cool show.
Really fun to finally have it like in universe because it's like it finally applies. We are in a different galaxy.
Oh man,
so
I didn't even think about that
it.
until like the characters themselves are going to a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Really smart, really creative. It's like right on the edge of meta, but on the good, happy, beautiful side where it's like fun and you get to smile and laugh, but it still works and doesn't break the canon or anything. Unlike the Last Jedi phone call prank. But anyway.
That one, yeah. So So we cut to Sabine in a prison cell.
Yes.
In the big ship. And Balin's at the door, and what's she like?
We had a deal.
Yeah.
Why am I in prison kind of thing?
Yeah, and he's just like,
and then he walks away.
glare.
Yeah, he just like has a bit of sass and stuff. So very clearly, like it's setting up the seeds of them reneging on their deal and their partnership, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna get you to Ezra, but the price might not be worth it. Kind of thing. Like it's sowing those seeds in the story kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll get you to Ezra. Also,
but like we'll get you to Ezra. And she's like, why are you making that face? Like, why are you...
We're also gonna get you.
I can see you winking. Like,
We're giving each other side eye like that.
And they drag her to the bridge, and we see Morgan Elsbeth once again staring off into the distance. I'm so sick of this character, dude. I'm so sick of her.
Have you noticed? I actually noticed this episode more than ever. We get characters' reactions to things that they're looking at before we see them.
Yeah, we did get a couple of those. Yeah.
Absolutely. Every time.
Yeah. It's because that's who they are and what they do.
They stare.
Baylan Skoll and Morgan Elsbeth stare into the distance.
And Sabine. Sabine's looking at things. Cut to what Sabine's looking at.
The thing that Sabine's looking at is pretty cool, though. So anyway, we go to this distant galaxy. They arrive out of hyperspace. Again, hyperspace ring looking sick as hell. The blue particle
comes out with the lightning.
Awesome. It's so cool. And they were seeing the same streaks in hyperspace as well. So we're seeing super hyperspace. This is what it looks like when you travel between galaxies.
Yeah.
Cool. We get to, I can't remember the name of the planet, but it's like a Purgle graveyard. And you see this massive asteroid ring filled with Purgle corpses and bones. Yeah,
because they're like, this is where the Purgle come to die.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, okay.
Super fucking morbid.
I want to say it's not Meridian, but it
was some space word.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, we now see what this new galaxy looks like. One planet. That's it. That's all we're getting from this show, I think. I think that's all they've set us up for us to have. We had a couple speculations last week of what it could be, what we could be experiencing.
Yep.
I think they went down the path of let's keep it simple. Yeah, one planet with one kind of identity.
They obviously don't have the time in an 8-episode show to.
But with that, they've condensed it down to, hey, this place is like, it's a graveyard for these beautiful creatures. It's giving you this idea of like death and decay and like ancient stuff.
Yeah.
And we see that continued when we see these Night Sister statues popping up of the landscape.
Yeah, it's also in the ancient homeworld of the Night Sisters.
Exactly. And we go down, we meet 3 Night Sisters.
Yep.
How they got there and how long they've been there, no one knows.
Probably always, I guess.
Yeah,
we don't see anyone else in this. So they're in this temple.
Yeah.
We don't see anyone else there, but we can assume.
But we get a conversation. Morgan Elsbeth, Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, and Sabine Wren. They all come down and they start talking to these 3 Night Sisters. These ancient, they call them like the Great Mothers, I think, something like that. And so they've been communing and talking to Morgan Elsbeth across galaxies through the Force, through dreams and stuff. Night Sister magic, ancient magic stuff.
Yep.
And we get to dive a bit more into that dark magic. How do you feel about this? Because I'm still like sus on the Night Sisters. But
it's like it was never my favorite thing of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool. It's not my favorite thing.
I like the visuals they've done this season. Like visually, it's been very grounded. They've had green flames come out of the pillar for the map. And that's about it, aside from... And then they're just, like, talking through the Force. Very much more similar to what we see from live action.
Yeah.
Force use.
I find the existence of sort of, like, witchcraft and like, necromancy in parallel to the wizardry that it is to be a Jedi. I find that sort of stuff kind of interesting. But it's like, there is kind of, like, a limit to me for the fantasy side of Star Wars.
Exactly.
Where it's like when it's, like, it's too... fantastical, perhaps. Like, we've never actually seen a fire-breathing dragon.
No.
For good reason.
We've seen an acid-breathing dragon.
Acid-breathing dragon? I can get behind it. Didn't fly,
Yeah.
But
and burrowed through the earth and shit.
Yeah. The Night Sisters are here. We'll see where it goes.
Exactly. So they chat off a bit. Sabine gets captured in prison by them this time because they smell the stink of Jedi on her, which is pretty cool. They chat.
It's like... What a Jedi smell like.
No, that's a classic like fantasy thing. Like I can smell the magic on you kind of thing. Yeah. I dig it. I think it's cool.
Anyway.
But she gets imprisoned again and she's like, what am I doing, man? Like, what am I doing with my life right now?
Yeah, well.
Which is pretty cool. I think, that kind of self-doubt is exactly what you'd be feeling in that situation.
Well, you kind of should. You just got the bad guys to the place they wanted to be.
But then we cut back to something else, or is it just immediately Thrawn now?
I think it's just Thrawn, His Star Destroyer with the sort of it was all banged up by Purgle last time we saw it, and they've had to patch it up.
They have done a lot of patchwork.
But it's still got like the Chiss artwork underneath it.
Yeah,
on the undercarriage. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks great, and we get this great scene where it slowly comes over and docks on the Night Sisters tower.
Yeah,
it was just really cool. I thought it was a very creative use of like visuals and using the terrain to kind of keep the story going, and you get to visually see what they're doing, which is spending 3 days to load the ship up with cargo and all of the stuff and all the ancient knowledge they have of the Night Sisters.
Yeah, now there's
temple.
well, yeah, like let's just talk about that for a sec because it's like we just see them moving these things that look to me like coffins.
Yeah, interesting.
You know? They're kind of just boxes. So it could be cargo, weapons, could be frozen bodies of like 1,000 Night Sisters.
Could be. I was thinking books. I don't know.
Could be some books.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they pay
very
that off at
safely
all.
guarded books.
But that was interesting, and they drew some attention to that. But then Thrawn walks out.
Yes, so we see in the hangar all these stormtroopers, and they're all quite different.
They are. Their armor's really banged up. Some of them have enhancements of like this gold plating on their armor.
Yep, and they've got these red sort of like bands and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the captain of or whatever rank he has this like really sinister gold mask on.
Yeah, he looks
that
like
design
from Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Sons of the Harpy.
Oh yeah, no,
like
actually,
one of those masks.
Yeah, no, that is actually a very similar resemblance. But so Thrawn walks out through all of these troopers and stuff, and it's fucking cool. Like
great.
They nailed the introduction of Thrawn. And Lars Mikkelsen, I knew he would bring the heat, but man, he brings the heat in this scene. He was fantastic.
Because it's like it sounds and feels exactly like Thrawn how we have in Rebels, but now it's live action. There is that intimidation.
He has such an incredible presence. I'm a big fan of his role in Sherlock. He was in season 3.
Right.
Similar kind of role, really sinister, really terrifying villain that just has this menacing, terrifying presence, and can just intimidate people just by standing and looking at them.
Yep.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, so
it takes a lot of acting talent to be able to pull that off.
Yeah. So he comes out, has a chat to Morgan, and Morgan's like, I did
and I'm
right
like, finally, Morgan can be pushed to the side so we can get the actual
the real villain. Yeah. And then they have he has a chat with Balin.
Yeah.
And it's like, you used to be a Jedi.
Dude, I didn't think there would be such an interesting dynamic between the two.
Balin's
so
fantastic.
Cool.
Thrawn's fantastic.
They really, and like the energy, just like the actors were sharing back and forth. It was like tennis, but just with their eyes. It was really cool.
I'd love to see more scenes of them. And then they let them know, it's like, oh yeah, we brought Sabine Wren. Familiar name.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. And yeah, Balin, I think we're getting the seeds of him getting ready to do some kind of deception. I don't think he's there for Thrawn. I think he's there for something else and is wanting to use Thrawn as a tool.
Yeah.
I think that's more of where he's at, but we'll see if that...
Imagine trying to use Thrawn.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's this really interesting battle of wills that I thought Balin was more like, oh, Thrawn's going to sort all my problems for me. But it seems more like Balin's like, no, I'm going to use Thrawn to solve my problems.
Yeah, I think he's like cocky enough to see himself as more powerful than Thrawn, even though he doesn't wield an army.
We get some fantastic character work from Balin and Shin this episode of him just talking about his perspective, his desires, and trying to guide Shin in the way of wise searching for power instead of aggressive searching for power. Because she's very much in that young kind of, let's grab power now. Let's really seize it. Yeah. But he's just like, let's just wait and take our time.
Yeah. So they bring Sabine out of the prison, and she comes face to face with Thrawn again.
Yeah, which was also a fantastic scene.
Yeah.
We're getting the very much Rebel Sabine here of like the snarky rock star kind of like throwing out these little jabs, and Thrawn's like, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a fucking wolf horse, and you're gonna get out of here.
Yes. Yeah. So he abides by quote,
sticks to their word, and I thought this was really great. Like, this is how you show that like these villains, while cool, are still fucking villains. They're still evil.
Yeah. But yeah, they give her this wolf horse looking thing.
I love this thing. This thing
great.
rules.
Yeah, it was like a tall like warg from The Hobbit.
Yeah, sort of like a space warg. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, boom, she goes riding off. They're like, yeah, we basically know where Ezra was last time. By all means, go find him.
Yeah, go nuts. Just beware, there's nomads out in the plains. I'm like, cool. And at this point, I realized, one, this is going to be a filler episode. Or not filler, but like a setup episode. It's going to be a lot slower. We're not going to get any huge story stuff happen. And two, this show rules. Like, this is such an interesting storytelling choice to just say, hey, Sabine, you're free. Like, you don't need to be our prisoner anymore. We're going to do our own thing over here. You go off. And then after that, immediately after that, they're watching her right into the distance, and they're sending there like, you can go hunt her now if you want.
It's probably a good enough distance now. Go.
Yeah, you can hunt her at your leisure kind of thing. Balin's like, yep. And then they leave, and I'm like, oh, this fucking rules.
Yeah,
this
so
is
they
so
got Balin
cool.
and Shin, and then Thrawn and Morgan are like, if they, like basically, if they don't make it back in time, fuck them.
Yeah, so that's later on. But even in that moment, Shin's like, I thought we said we are going to let her go. And then they're like, yeah, she can find Ezra, but together they can pose some kind of threat. So you should go and kill them.
Yeah, go defeat them.
Yeah, go kill them both. And I'm just like, these villains are great. These are great villains.
That's what they do. And we get Sabine wandering. She comes face to face with some locals fights them.
Our one fight scene of the episode, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Good.
It's just showing off how good Sabine is in like
regular,
as a fighter.
Like Mandalorian hand-to-hand stuff.
Yeah, so Mandalorian hand-to-hand stuff and also blasters, and then she switches to lightsaber at the end to kind of like cinch the victory.
Yeah.
Which is great. She's just awesome. She's got the fighting down pat. We've already known that, and just seeing that again will help us probably believe how much fighting she does the next episode.
And it was nicer to kind of essentially get her a win here because it's like, she can fight with a lightsaber better against people who don't.
Yes.
You know, she's still got a ways to go against Force users and people who have lightsabers, but it's what it is.
Her thing's destroyed and she's like, oh well, and then she's
her communicate like tracker thing.
She then has this really cute scene with the wolf horse. Like just tracking it across the plains. I'm like, this is just really fun adventure stuff. Again, slow burn episode.
Yeah.
And it's trying to do these character moments before we get to the end and we can't do them anymore.
Yeah.
And it's fun. You got to take it as it is. It's fun as much as I want big story stuff. You were sitting there saying like, "Oh, hunt her down," and you're like, "This episode," and I'm like, "Mello."
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, no, that's more wishful thinking."
Exactly.
Yeah, do it. Do it this episode.
It would be cool, but I was like, I feel like we're not.
Yeah.
And then,
so like she starts to trust the wolf horse, and the wolf horse finds a creek.
A little creek, and he's drinking water, and then they find a little hermit crab guy.
Yeah.
And they introduce us to this little race of hermit crab creatures who have necklaces with the Phoenix? No, not the Phoenix.
Just like the Rebel
logo.
Alliance
logo, yeah.
It's like, okay, assumedly, and they recognize the name Ezra Bridger.
Yeah.
Assumedly, he's made them.
And so a little bit of like, what's the game? Pictionary?
Pictionary?
No, the one that's not Pictionary.
Oh, the one where you... Charades?
Charades, thank you. They do a little bit of charades back and forth trying to get the words, and then she's like, cool, Ezra Bridger, and they take her off to Ezra Bridger.
Yep.
Great. We come back to the villains. They're loading up the cargo. Thrawn's there. He's talking to Morgan Elsbeth about, and they're looking at the map of the galaxy, like the map that we know of the Star Wars galaxy. And they're planning stuff, and they're like, if Baylan and Shin don't find him or don't make it back, we'll just leave without him. It's fine. Doesn't even matter. As long as we escape. That's the important thing.
Yeah. Is it there or is it later that they find out that someone else is...
Jesus. But sirens are on our end
nice.
if you're listening to this in the car.
Like, that someone else is like coming through hyperspace.
Oh, yeah. This is right at the end.
Yeah.
The Night Sisters detect it because they're still communing with the Force. They're still seeing the future, which I think is fantastic. If you can do foresight stuff really well in fiction, it's really, really gratifying. And the idea that Thrawn has access to this and he's using their dark magic, he's like, I hope I can call on your dark magic again. Like he's such a cool villain because he respects everything. He has no superstition. He is only like academic in his pursuits. And he's like, any advantage I can gain, I will. Yeah. And I will not dismiss any threat as inconsequential because I'm not a fucking idiot like the rest of the Imperial officers.
He still has a vendetta against the Jedi though.
And he does.
Interesting.
He still doesn't like the Jedi. And of course he wouldn't. They're the only people who've defeated him, you know?
Yeah.
That's like including Ezra and Kanan.
It's crazy how, he was like so mature, can still hold petty grudges, essentially.
And it's just fantastic. So they detect that Ahsoka is coming through hyperspace on the Travelers they call the Purgle. Very cool. And he just like instantly switches pace and he's like, you told me Ahsoka was dead. I am so mad.
And then she's like, Baylan told me Ahsoka was dead. Yeah, not that we'd get that level of emotion from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we did, but she was trying to pass the buck onto Baylan.
Yeah. Cut back to Baylan and them. And we get a really cool scene with Baylan and Shin. They discover the fight that Sabine had and all these corpses and stuff like that.
And Baylan continues to talk.
Yeah.
Talk to Shin about his days as a Jedi and his days as a general. We find out he was a general in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And how it all fell apart like when he was like just older than she was. What I'm really liking from this scene and from his character now is like he's kind of something that I've always wanted in Star Wars. Someone who is obviously incredibly intelligent, who knows the history of the galaxy so well and knows that it is just this ebb and flow thing of like it's the light side in power, it's the dark side in power.
And it's this pendulum swinging back and forth in cycles.
They just keep fighting. And as we find out, his motivation at this stage is to put an end to that.
Yeah, he wants a new beginning.
A new beginning.
Of some kind.
With something that he thinks he'll find either on this planet or in this galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very mysterious. I'm like, what does this mean? What is this all about? Like, what is he going to find here?
Yeah.
Is it some new element of the Force that Filoni's introducing here?
Yeah.
And how much can we dive into that with 2 episodes left?
Yeah. And we also get a bit of an allusion to the fact that like, does Shin want to be a Jedi?
It's very,
does she consider herself a Jedi? And he's like, no,
you're
not.
Very in the present moment kind of Force user. She's like, I need power now, and that's it. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas he's very much grand scale, long plans.
But honestly, that's something I've always wanted for someone who is just like wise within that universe to stop and think. It's like,
this is all silly.
They're like, why do people keep allowing those two groups to be in power?
Yeah.
Quit all that shit.
Yeah, he's kind of ended up at the point of nihilism, where it's like, I just want to get rid of all of this and start with something new.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very flawed way to think as well, but it creates this really interesting villain character.
I feel like he's looking for something terraforming.
Yeah, okay.
With that ability.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
Yeah.
It seemed like some kind of dark side thing. From what he was like looking out into the distance. He's like, can you feel it? There's something powerful here.
Always looking out into the distance.
Yeah, and that's finally paying off.
Yeah.
And then they look out into the distance, they see bandits, and they're like, cool, we're going to make friends with the bandits and hunt down Sabine with them.
Good allusion to next episode. Speaking of which, where is Sabine? She's wandering into a village.
Of the little hermit crab people, and they've got big old hermit crab caravans.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a really cute, it felt very like the fantasy magic, family-friendly Star Wars.
It reminded me of the halflings from Rings of Power.
Oh, yeah, like the nomadic halflings from Rings of Power, The river folk, I think.
Yeah.
And so they're wandering through the village, and she's looking around, and then Ezra Bridger talks from behind her, and they have this really beautiful reunion. I thought they did a really good job here. Yeah. They lit it well so that you couldn't see his contacts.
Right.
Yeah, I noticed the blue contacts.
I see it. I saw it at one point.
Yeah, like you can see it, but they lit it in a way that was like kind of difficult to see. Like really noticeably, and the way that Hera has been very noticeable with that contact.
And now it's big boy Ezra. He's got a beard.
Yeah.
He's a young man.
Yeah, no, he's dashing. He's looking good. He's got this really cool, like, kind of like chainmail armor.
Yeah,
he's wearing.
He's acclimatized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's clear that he's been here for a very long time, and he's made friends, and he's learned the language of the people here. And they reunite, and Sabine's like, I don't want to talk about how I got here.
Yeah, he's like, how did I just get here? Nope.
Let's just talk about something else.
Yeah, because imagine
trying to explain all that. Yeah.
Also, when they let her go, right? They're like, go find Ezra. Chances are you're not getting home.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to leave this place. And then
the last thing he says,
I can't wait to go home.
Oh man, it's like, ooh.
Can you imagine?
So we might see that conversation next episode and him finding out the hard way about the truth of the situation that they're in.
Obviously, he's not going to be happy.
Yeah. And then, I think that's about where we end the show. We end that episode.
Yeah, apart from then like it ends off with
it ends with Thrawn and it ends with Thrawn talking about Ahsoka, and that's the episode.
Yeah.
And we're both sitting there like, oh man, I really want to watch season 7. Oh, episode 7 now, but that's the episode. Overall really loved it. The music continues to hit. The action was great.
Fantastic.
The visuals. I think the visuals have continuously gotten better. The wide shots they used in this episode were breathtaking.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Aldani, except a bit drier and browner.
Yeah.
From Andor. And this is my favorite show.
Yeah.
since like Mando season 2. Like it's up there with the quality of those shows and probably beyond Mando season 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Really, really, really impressed.
Nice. I just like how unique a lot of this is.
Yeah.
And how this feels more original than a lot of stuff we've gotten, or at least its originality is just it's just better compared to some of the other like Disney Plus stuff we've gotten.
I agree.
It's
like
Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, and
it's bold. It's taking storytelling risks. It's saying let's go to a different galaxy and find Thrawn and maybe bring him back. That's the question of the show.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people are thinking about. That's a story a lot of people want to see.
Yeah.
I just think it's a really, really adventurous kind of show, and I'm really enjoying the mystery of like what's going to happen, what's happening next week. It's been very much like a tantalizing show to watch week to week. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. At this stage, with 2 episodes left, like you want to see a season 2 of this?
Do I?
Yeah.
You do?
Do you?
Do you? I'm not sure. I feel like it's tricky because I think Ahsoka hasn't been shown enough in her own show. I think that's probably the biggest problem with the show so far is we've got last week's episode, which was really good, but then this episode has been another where Sabine is at the forefront.
Yeah.
She's the main character.
Yeah.
And we see Ahsoka at the very start, and that's it.
Yeah.
So 7 and 8, I'm really hoping they pull it back and pay off some of the character work they've been trying to do. They've been thinking about
Master
exploring.
and Apprentice stuff.
But I think my biggest problem with last week's episode was that they finally brought up Ahsoka's dramatic question. Are you going to continue Anakin's legacy of destruction, or are you going to choose not to fight somehow and become more pacifist? Like, that's what they brought up in episode 5. Episode 5. Not episode 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Episode 5. That was not really brought up from what I remember, in episode 1 or 2. They didn't ask that thematic question. And that should have been the through line for the show. If you were going to do an Ahsoka show about her character, that should have been there from the start. And, it wasn't. So because of that, I think maybe I would like to see an Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would do.
Or would you more so perhaps want to see the same storyline continued but focusing on Sabine?
That's interesting. That's interesting because I think we've seen enough Sabine here.
Right,
You know what I mean? I feel like this has been her story of her becoming like a Jedi Padawan or Jedi Knight or something. Or I don't know. I don't even know what she is. It's interesting. I'll be curious to see how they pay her off at the end of this show. But yeah, I want to see more of this story. I want to see what happens with Thrawn. I know they're building to an Heir to the Empire movie of some kind or whatever. And that'll be awesome. I've got no doubt. After seeing the incredible work Filoni has done with the writing, he's written every episode so far. We double checked that. It's so good. The writing is top notch. His directing I don't like, but I love his writing. But any final notes from you, Mello?
I don't know. Yeah, there's one thing that's like sort of been like my one key drawback with this show the whole time is performances.
Yeah, the performances
and some line delivery and stuff like
Morgan
that.
Elsbeth
and
sucks.
Emotion and stuff like that. I want that thing that makes it really difficult to emotionally attach to stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm not engaged in the performances.
Yeah.
Because if the characters who are giving great performances, I'm attached to. So I want that to lift across the board. That'd be nice. If we got going into like the
dramatic finale.
Yeah, the end game stuff, the final battles, and all of these really should be tense and terrifying moments. Everything needs to build. I need to feel afraid. Give me a reason to feel afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, because we already had the big climax with Ezra in Rebels. It was his big sacrifice moment, and he's lost 20 years, 15 years? How long has it been since the end of Rebels? 10 years. Yeah. He's lost 10 years, and that's a pretty cool sacrifice to make. Now we're at another turning point. Who has to sacrifice? Who has to lose? Do we stop fighting? Do we continue fighting? Do we pursue the violence?
Do you just let them all get back?
Do you let them all get back? Does everyone go back peacefully and then we figure it out later?
Yeah.
Who knows? And I think answering that question, interestingly, will be Filoni's big challenge. I'm curious to see how he approaches it. Predictions for next week. I feel like we've already talked about some of our predictions. We kind of know
Ahsoka
where
catches
it's going to
up.
happen.
I think...
Balin and the Bandits catch up with Ahsoka.
They do. Yeah,
cool band name. But they catch up with Sabine and Ezra, and that'll be a cool fight.
Yep. They've also got one lightsaber between the two of them because
what happened to his lightsaber?
That's his. Sabine has his.
Oh, Sabine has his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
shit.
He hasn't lightsaber trained in a long time.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. You got to fly in front of your face.
Yeah, I do. I don't know. The heroes need to destroy the hyperspace ring.
But then they're all trapped there.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Yep. I was thinking they were going to commandeer the ship.
Fight and defeat that foe in this galaxy and never let that evil return.
And that's it? You think Ahsoka is permanently trapped in this part of the galaxy along with all of these other characters?
No, they got the Purgle.
Oh, they go back with the Purgle. I mean, that's...
You know, the heroes won't go back with the Purgle.
That's not
Sorry, the villains
won't go back with the Purgle.
The heroes will. Could.
That's not bad.
Hey, also, if this place is where the Purgle come to die, have that entire pot of Purgle come to die?
Guess I'll die.
There's some small ones in there.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. No, that's a good prediction. We'll see. We've got 2 episodes to wait until we get to the full end of what's going to happen here. But I think confidently we can say the Balin and the Bandits catch up with Ezra and Sabine next episode. So we'll get to see that fight for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode, I think. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Fixing the Sequel Trilogy, talking about Ahsoka Episode 6, the slow burn leading up to the big finale episode. Hope you've enjoyed listening or watching, however you've consumed the show. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the good places. And until next time, may the Force be with you.